And welcome to today's Eploy partner webinar on personalisation in a digital world, where we're going to be looking at and discussing ways to personalise and automate your candidate onboarding. I'm delighted today to be joined by our expert panel. We have Stuart Green from our partner Experian, where Stuart is a senior background checking specialist. And next to Stuart, stepping in at the 11th hour, as Max unfortunately is unavailable today, we have Naomi Bouverie, who is a talent acquisition lead at London and South East Education Group. Naomi specialises in attracting and hiring top talent for all departments within the group, which encompasses a college with 8 campuses, 2 apprenticeship companies, and a multi-academy trust with 7 schools, where Eploy and Experian are used together across the group to manage the full recruitment cycle and onboarding. Before we get started, we will be taking questions at the end. So if you do have any, then please use the Q&A functionality in Teams, the little button at the top there. We're also recording the webinar and we'll make it available after the event so that you can share it with your colleagues. First of all, just want to talk a little bit about Eploy and Experian, the relationship that we have. We've been working together for 4 years, and Experian is the most commonly used integrated background checking and right to work provider amongst our customers from the Eploy marketplace. I'm going to go into, not going too technical, but I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the integration and its capabilities. So first, there are effectively 2 integrations, one with Experian's background checking and then with Experian's right to work checking. So it's not a case of you have to take both, you can just use those checks that are relevant to you and your organization. So with the background checking integration, typically you select a vacancy template level. You can change it on an individual vacancy level, which types of background checks are required. Typically, we find our customers will carry out these checks during the onboarding process, but the integration is flexible enough that it can be triggered at any stage. The triggers for the background check are incorporated into your integration and workflow settings. For example, when a candidate status is changed to your offer and contract, at which point Eploy automatically sends the required candidate info to Experian. It also creates an action within Eploy to keep record of it. Experian then takes over, automatically emails the candidate, requesting them to complete their checks. And we get data back from Experian, and you can monitor the progress of background checks via dashboards in Eploy. And in true Blue Peter fashion, this is the kind of one that we can you can create indeed within Eploy, where you can create a dashboard that will show you all of your background checks, identify what stage they are at, and because you can drill down to the underlying data, you can take any corrective action that you may need to do. Moving on to the right to work checking, this is available also with IDVT checks. And again, you would select at a vacancy or template level which types of right to work checks are required. Now, typically we find that this is carried out earlier in the recruitment process, usually during the application stage or not long after it. Triggers for the right to work check are incorporated again into the integration and workflow settings. So for example, when you move a candidate to a right to work stage within your recruitment workflow, which point Eploy automatically updates the status of the application to check requested, the candidate is emailed with the next steps, and then when the check is completed, the status in Eploy is updated automatically. And because we have this integration that's passing data back and forth, you can monitor and progress your right to work checks via dashboards in Eploy. For example, one might look like this. Now, we actually have some demonstration videos available, and you can get those here if you go to the Eploy marketplace /Experian. We actually have some demonstration videos of both background and right to work, including IDVT. That's all I want to say at this point. I want to now hand over to the experts. And first of all, I'm going to pass over to Stuart. Morning, Stuart. Great to see you again.
Morning, Bruce. Thank you. Thank you for the handover. And yeah, thank you for having me today. And also thank you to the Eploy team. As Bruce has said there, we've had a very successful partnership that we've developed over the last 4 years. So let me just share my screen. Now, I'm not as slick as Bruce because I didn't actually update my slide. So I've still got Max on there, along with myself. But Naomi, as Max has said, has stepped in at the 11th hour. So thank you, Naomi. We're going to have a Q&A with Naomi as we sort of run through this webinar, just to sort of understand firsthand from a client that's actually adopted this technology, and how that's benefited the business with their background checks that they run. So as Bruce has said, as a bit of an introduction, so I work as a background checking specialist at Experian. We've sort of got, in terms of the type of clients that we've integrated with Eploy, we have around 30 different clients that have integrated their background checks or right to work. So as Bruce said, there's 2 different APIs that we have across all different sectors. So we don't have sort of a niche in terms of who we can and can't work with. We have clients in all different sectors, from health, retail, education, security, facilities management. So we can cater for all. What I'm going to talk about today is around how recruitment is changing and how digitized technology can support and make your onboarding more efficient, along with being compliant. I'm going to touch on a little bit to start with around, as I've just said, about how recruitment is changing and how Experian can support with these different changes that's coming to market. I'll then go on to talk around sort of the type of checks that we can support you with, show you a little bit around sort of what it looks like. It's not going to be a full demo, just due to the time that we have on this call, but we can obviously take that offline and have a call separately. So just on in terms of, just run through this slide. So in terms of sort of risk and cost focus, we know that businesses have put an emphasis on cost of making hires. Companies are looking for efficiencies and how they can streamline processes, which is partly why we're here today, to look at how we can do that. We know, in terms of sort of the economic conditions, there's been some positive news this morning around inflation. Hopefully that gives a bit more confidence into the market, and businesses are starting to invest more. We know it's a busy time at the moment. A lot of our retail clients, it's sort of the golden quarter, so there's lots of high level recruitment going on at the moment to fill those temporary roles. And how can you do that in a more efficient way? In terms of sort of managing data and keeping that data secure, Experian is the brand name people that are aware of tend to think of Experian as being the credit company. We've been in the market for background checks for over 20 years now, so we're very well established in the market. Sort of managing data is at the forefront of what we do. And we are the only FCA regulated business in the UK as well. So in terms of sort of regulating and managing data, we take that very seriously. In terms of being a competitive market, we understand, in terms of sort of relating back to the efficiencies, that people want to get bums on seats quickly. Businesses don't want to start a hiring process for a candidate and have them drop out midway through because of lags in getting checks returned. They want to offer different approaches, whether that be giving people the option of doing the checks fully remotely, or giving them an option of coming in to do their checks in person. So again, I'll touch on later around the type of checks that we can support you with and how we can help on that front. Going into sort of candidate expectations, it sort of goes back to the point that I've just said there. We know that since COVID, things have shifted. More people now are expecting to be offered a hybrid role, potentially doing a fully remote role. It's sort of gone are the days of candidates having to travel in and take up hours of their time during the day to come and share a copy of their passport and a proof of address document. Candidates are aware that businesses are adopting technology now. So can checks be done remotely? Can they be done over the phone, using the technology that is available? And Experian have got the technology, so you can use Experian as a certified provider to do remote right to work checks and remote DBS checks. And sort of legislation changes, that sort of goes into that point. If there's anything new that comes to market, Experian are always at the forefront of rolling out those changes and giving you the most efficient technology to get things done quickly and efficiently. the digitized technology that we have, as Bruce alluded to there, we have right to work. So we have a solution for right to work that's covers remote checks and in-person checks. And we also have digitized technology for our DBS checks, whether that's basic, standard or enhanced. So you could do those checks fully remotely at the click of a button through Eploy. It can send a link to a candidate so they can then conduct their right to work checks or their DBS checks in the comfort of their own home. As Bruce has showed you there as well, in terms of reporting, the Eploy system is fantastic for that. You can see exactly where things are up to within their environment. You haven't got to keep jumping around into different systems to see when things have been returned. So just to touch on the type of checks that we offer at Experian, what we typically say is we are a one-stop shop. So we can cover all types of background checks that you might be looking to run, whether that's basic, standard or enhanced criminal record checks, identity and credit checks, sanctions, directors checks, DVLA checks, right to work checks, references, any types of checks you can think of, we typically can conduct and support you with. We also support clients with things like BPSS checks, so a baseline standard that they need if they're going into contact with any government bodies, as well as insecurity, so BS 7858 checks. So there's packages of checks that we can do, also in the finance sector as well. People that are regulated to SM&CR standard, we can support with that as well. I've touched on already around businesses that are potentially coming up to a very period in terms of, especially in the retail space, people hiring those temporary workers. So we also have the option of doing bulk uploads for volume recruitment. So rather than sort of having to go through potentially the Eploy system, and because there might not be new starters, you might be able to do them separately and utilize our bulk checking service. And we use that for businesses that are doing annual rechecks, people that are doing renewals, and also, as I said, for this busy period when people are doing seasonal hires as well. So lots of different checks that we can support you with. Happy to discuss offline as well, just to see if it's something that we can discuss and support you with. Now, there is something that I wanted to share on the call today. This is very new, that's just come in at the back end of last week, just on the DBS check-in prices. We was informed by the DBS that they are looking to increase their prices from the 2nd of December. It's not fully formed yet, so we haven't had actual confirmation. We've just been told that this is due to come in. 4th of November, this is going to Parliament, and after that, a decision will be made to confirm what these prices will be. But for more information, please reach out to us. This is pretty new, just hot off the press. So in terms of sort of how we can personalize this onboarding process for you as a business, that's the strength that Experian can support you with. So from tailored branding, candidate messaging, the process workflows that you have, the users that you want to have set up, on what level of access they are assigned, to the level of reporting MI that's available, and also the invoicing profile and how you want to pay for your checks. All of this can be customized for you as a client. And as Bruce has touched on there, we can map how you have your system set up already in Eploy and map that across to Experian so it flows through seamlessly. And from an audibility and control point of view, everything is clear in one place. So from a if you was to get audited and you wanted to see what interactions have been had between the candidate and Experian, or from you as a user and Experian, everything is there and logged in Experian's environment for you to see. And security, as I mentioned before, being FCA regulated, everything is we adhere to Experian's global security policies, so everything is all secure in one central place. From a support point of view, something that Experian pride themselves on, we have a UK-based support team that you can contact via live chat, email, or telephone. Team based in Nottingham. If you need any support, that extends to you as a client, but it also extends to your candidates that are actually going through this process. So if you want to sort of push your client to speak with Experian if they need any assistance, it frees up some of your time to do some of the day-to-day work. One of the things that people typically and how they would personalise their setup, you can obviously map across from Eploy to Experian for your new hires. But if you have any rechecks that you need to conduct, if you have any confidential hires that you need to make and you want to ring fence those checks off so people can't see them, you have the ability to do that as well, which is where you can see the sort of structure there. You can have your account set up so users can only see certain checks that they're allowed visibility of. So again, we can work with you on that front as well. I mentioned before, I'm not going to run through a end-to-end demo just purely because of time. But just to give you a quick visual of what it actually looks like as a solution for your background checks. The checks will be ordered from Eploy at the click of a button. A link would get emailed out to the candidate and they will be able to click on that link and complete their background checks via an application form. And that's fully optimized on mobile phones as well, so they can conduct this on the go. One of the big things that we introduced earlier this year for our DBS checks, when you go down the digitized journey, we've removed the need for a candidate to provide a proof of address document as part of that journey, which is massive because, as you probably know, most people don't tend to have a proof of address document anymore. They may not have updated their driving license to their current address. We can still tag them at being at the current address that they provide to us using Experian's bureau data. So Experian has the largest bureau of data in the UK, and we can tap into that to validate somebody and say we have them at that address. We no longer need a proof of address, and we can submit that information to the DBS seamlessly. So it's quite big in terms of what we've introduced, and from a digitization point of view, which is what we're looking to achieve, that's the sort of direction that this is going, where we're moving more towards how can this be automated. And if you can order something from Eploy, send it to the candidate completes the form and it pulls the return back into Eploy, say when the checks are completed, full end-to-end journey, all digitized, hands off. That's sort of the direction that this is moving to. So if I go into why Experian, I'm not going to do a big sales pitch here, but if I just touch on who Experian are trusted by. So we work with over 2,000 organisations today that utilise Experian for their background checking processes. We've processed close to 1 million background checks last year across the whole market, from, as I said before, health, education, retail, insurance, finance. We haven't got a niche market that we specialise in. There's always a human behind the technology as well. And I mentioned about the customer support that we have available. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to sort of talk too much more because I want to introduce Naomi so you can hear firsthand how Naomi's benefited from this. But if anyone wants to reach out, as Bruce has shared already, we've got the marketplace that's there that you can obviously find more information on, or reach out to your Eploy account manager, or my contact details will be on the follow-ups that we do after this as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Naomi. So Naomi, apologies, I've got Max on there on the slide, but if I can introduce you, Naomi.
No worries, thanks, Stuart. So yeah, I'm Naomi from London South East Colleges. I'm basically, well, I am the talent acquisition lead, which I just cover all of recruitment across the college. So that's all departments within the college. So yeah, that's what I do.
Thank you, Naomi. And for a bit of context for everybody on the call, so London South East College took on Experian for their background checks around a year ago, I think it was, Naomi.
Yeah.
And Naomi, was you you were new to Eploy at the same time as well, is that right?
Yes, very new to Eploy. Yeah, we hadn't integrated with Eploy at all. So yeah, all very new.
Perfect. Thanks, Naomi. And Naomi, just in terms of what your processes was before you moved to Experian and Eploy, are you able to give us a bit of background as to what you used to do previously?
Yeah, so it was a long and tedious process, to say the least. We did everything manually, which means, that because we're a college, there's a lot of forms that candidates need to fill out before being onboarded with us, around between 10 to 15 forms, and we'd send them out and they would physically have to, either write on them or do it on the computer, send out all those forms back to us, and we would have a separate spreadsheet that we would then manually input all the data that candidates would send to us into that spreadsheet. Again, there would be, potential human errors. Maybe the spreadsheet's not up to date because we're forgetting, or, some people are off and the documents are getting sent to them. So it's a live document that's not constantly updated. So there were a lot of issues within that. It was also so time consuming. In regards to the DBS, they would have to, and right to work, they would have to come in physically to do their right to work. And as you know, a lot of people may not have the time to be able to come in. So it would maybe take 2 to 3 weeks for people to actually come in and do all of their stuff before the DBS is even sent out to even be processed, which obviously had an impact on our learners because there wouldn't be teachers in front of classes really, really quickly. And then it would further impact members of staff in the college because they'd be covering whatever classes, and it was just a ripple effect.
Yep.
Yeah, Eploy's had a big impact on all of those things.
Fantastic. Thanks, Naomi. And I guess just sort of looking at, with you saying that it's sort of potentially 2 to 3 weeks until a DBS check was even initiated, I guess, what
Yeah.
are the sort of big improvements, would you say, or the key improvements that have been made? I guess a couple of different areas, really. In terms of the candidate themselves, have you heard sort of anything from the improvements that the candidate have seen?
Oh, definitely. I mean, both the candidates and the hiring managers that actually use Eploy, from both of them. Candidates find it extremely easy to use. It's so quick. We find, you can see timestamps on when documents are being done, and they're all being done on the same day, most of them. So, the time to get all the documents in is really, really quick. To do the DBS checks, basically on the same day everything goes out, depending on obviously how long the DBS check comes. Obviously we don't have any control with that, but
Yeah.
in terms of how quickly the process is taking place, it's really, really good. Candidates are not having any real issues with getting that done. So yeah, from them it's really good. From the hiring managers, they find it extremely useful to use. They can see everything now. They used to come to me manually and ask for an update every 2 seconds, and you know how managers get, when they want to know how their recruitment is going. So they can see everything live now, and they can interview whoever they want. Even with the interview process, it was taking weeks and weeks for, the man, because I was doing the back and forth with the candidates. That's not ready. Now it's, these are the slots, you can choose the slots, and it's just so much, more streamlined and a lot quicker. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Naomi. And I guess you mentioned about sort of the time it was taking to get this done. So what time to hire now in terms of sort of improvements? Do you know sort of roughly what that looks like?
Yeah. It used to be about 6 weeks, I think, to hire to get someone fully onboarded. And, we were quite impressed with that at the time. And now it's around 20 days, I would say. Less than
Perfect.
3 weeks, which is, halved, which has been amazing. And again, for the candidate experience, which is what we're really, really big on, especially when people are first coming into any organization, is, that's the first bit that,
Yeah.
you want people to really enjoy. And yeah, they're coming in very, very quickly, and they're enjoying that whole process and finding it very smooth.
Brilliant. That's great. Thank you. In terms of integration, because obviously I think you was involved, Naomi, wasn't you, in when the
A little bit,
integration was
yeah.
sort of built? How did the integration go from your point of view?
Honestly, it very well, to be honest. It was very quick, and there was a lot of detail involved. I feel like both Experian and Eploy were really, really supportive in just, I guess we were very specific with what we wanted and what we needed, and both Experian and Eploy really catered to that. Especially when like building the dashboards that we needed, as you showed earlier. There's all these specific dashboards that we would want, and you can make any. And yeah, they were very supportive with all the little minor details that needed to be integrated. So yeah.
Brilliant. Perfect. Great stuff. Thank you. And I guess really just in terms of sort of anything else that you'd like to share with the group. So in terms of sort of success story, has there been anything that's been fed back, anything that's gone really well, particularly that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so as we said earlier, I think the time in which everything's taken, I think is the biggest thing. As I said, it takes around 20 days. I think over summer, so because we're a college, summer recruitment is huge. It's our biggest time of year. August, September, I would say, is the biggest time of year for us. I think we onboarded about over 80 people in the 2 months, and last year was because everything was done manually. Doing that, there was a lot of gaps, there was a lot of things being missed off, whereas this year it went so smoothly.
Right.
All the managers were just so impressed with how quick the time was, how efficient. Everyone literally was onboarded correctly. There was no going back with, can this be done last minute, or that this was missing, or anything like that. They could see at every point when, the candidates would be able to come in on site, get their contracts out. That was another thing as well. Contracts were getting missed or being sent late. All candidates get their contracts before their start date, and it's all signed, and then they all get put on the system ready to start work the next day. What else is there? Again, everything is live. So as I said, the spreadsheet before was technically live, a lot of data missing. Now, as soon as I offer someone, or as soon as we get like an offer approval, Max approves it, I can see it, I can go in and offer straight away. I mean, the time to take that is 5 minutes,
Brilliant, brilliant.
so
Yeah, that's great. And I guess it sounds like from a compliance point of view, I guess that's quite a big thing as well. That sounds like it's been sort of tightened up and having
huge,
everything in one
huge.
place. Yeah,
Definitely. I mean, we have a single central record where Ofsted come in and have to check all of that is correct. And it, yeah, we do internal checks as well. And every week we do internal checks to make sure any new starters that we've had, we have no gaps. And it's honestly, we've had nothing over the past few months, which has been
fantastic.
unheard of, honestly. So yeah, it's just been such a big help in terms of even workload because of how easy everything is, how quickly everything's getting done. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Naomi. I'm just conscious of time, so what I'll do, I'll probably stop there and see if there's any questions that we've got from
Yeah,
everyone on the group.
we do. We have some questions here for you, Stuart. So first one is, hi, are you able to carry out right to work and DBS checks for candidates who do not hold a valid UK passport, including non-UK citizens?
Yeah, so the short answer to that is yes, we can. So from a right to work, it covers international people coming to work in the UK, that is, rather than people going to work overseas. So yeah, it can do international for people coming to work in the UK, and we can cater for that. Yes.
Great. Sorry if I missed this, but does the Experian service offer an update service, i.e., once candidates have been hired, is there an annual DBS check automatically afterwards?
So there isn't one automatically. Now, when I say there isn't one automatically, we've had some clients that have built in an API potentially outside of Eploy because that's more for new starters, but they've done this into HR systems that can then trigger an international trigger a recheck for that person. So there's capabilities of it, but it's sort of in a slightly different way. Happy to pick that up offline as well.
Okay. Next question. I could see you say that Experian are able to do DBS and PVG checks. However, do you currently support Access Northern Ireland ANI checks with NI Direct?
We do, yes.
Excellent. And then one further question that I have. Oh, sorry. I've got multiple questions coming in. Bear with me one sec. One question we've received, another one we've received is, do Experian do international checks?
Yeah, so typically it's a UK solution, but we can run international checks. If somebody's lived overseas for a period of time, we can run those. And Naomi's team also do international checks as part of their onboarding as well, actually.
Okay. Next question is from Paul. What about DBS/police check for non-UK citizens?
Yeah. So yeah, so
think we've got
similar
that.
to the international. Yeah.
If remote right to work is sent directly to the candidate, are we then required to do a face-to-face imposter check?
Yes, yeah, it's a good question. So yeah, absolutely. So if the candidate's completed their right to work check remotely using the technology, you would be required to run an imposter check just to confirm that that is the same person turning up on day one, and that's built into the solution as well.
Yeah. Excellent. I think that covers all of the questions that people have been submitted, and I think that's bang on 11:30. So well done us. We stuck to the schedule. Always a good thing. In terms of next steps, obviously for Eploy customers, if you've got any questions, if you'd like to be introduced to the guys at Experian, if you want to talk about the Experian integration and how we can implement it for you, then please get in touch with your Eploy account manager. Stuart, any sort of final thoughts from yourself?
No, yeah, I'm just going to say the same, really, Bruce. If you want to contact your Eploy account manager, or if you want to reach out directly, my details will be on the follow-ups. Thank you.
Excellent. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We hope you join us again on another Eploy partner webinar soon. Also, Naomi, thanks so much today for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was really great to hear the impact that Eploy and the Experian integration have had for you. I think you made a really great point about what time to hire means in an education setting. In other words, a lengthy time to hire is going to have, a detrimental impact on the learner experience. I think it's such 100%. A valid point. Yeah. So it's great to hear that you've been able to effectively halve that. So,
no, it's been great, honestly.
Well done, you guys.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone, and look forward to seeing you soon. We have recorded the webinar. We'll make it available to everyone and send out some further information after the event. So thanks a lot, everyone. Cheerio.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.